Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today we are doing my October reading wrap up. So this month was a pretty good month, both in how much I read and in the ratings. So I'll do my stats first. This month was the most I've read all month in terms of pages, not in terms of books. I read 13 books, but that was 6,236 pages, which is the most I've read in a month. By far, I think, by at least over 1,000 pages. I think July, we read more books, but just under 1,000 pages less. So October and July have been my best reading months so far. So I read 1 classic, 4 dark fantasy, 5 fantasy, 1 historical, 1 dark academia, and 1 romance. So we've had a really decent run. We had 1 2-star read, 1 3-star, 8 4 stars, 2 5 stars, and 1 not rated, which is the one I will talk about first. So the book I didn't rate, there was a reason for that. So I read Little Women all month, to be honest. I was reading like a chapter here and there. This version does not include the Good Wives, like second part of Little Women. So to me, I'm like, well, the story's not even finished. So I haven't rated it. But to be honest, I absolutely love this book. I love this family, these women. Laurie, oh my god, I love Laurie so much. He is just like the sweetest man. But this is a very, even though like sometimes the things that happen aren't the nicest, and especially in Good Wives, obviously, certain things that happen are not the nicest. It was just such a heartwarming story, and just this family, I love them so much. So I did really enjoy reading this throughout the month. So I have now got a copy that does contain Good Wives, so I'll read that at some point. Next, I read Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue, and I rated this 5 stars. I loved this book so much. I think I was 30% in and I was like, everyone needs to read this book. I don't know what it was. Do you know what? It was so fun and entertaining and easy to read, and also Leon, the MMC, is so Damon coded. It's not even funny. It's like the slight psychoticness along with the really like sarcastic wit and humour that Damon has. Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love Leon so much. So yes, like I say, I rated this 5 stars. I'm giving it like a 4 on the chili pepper scale. These are dark fantasy romances. I'm calling them fantasy because they are demon romances. And there's a lot going on that definitely classes it as a fantasy. But they're basically dark paranormal demon romances, you know. We're following Ray in this book, who has just moved back to this small town that she grew up in for like the first, I think it was like 5 or 7 something years of her life. And she's going to university there. And she's kept in touch with her childhood best friend this whole time, so she meets back up with her. But aside from that, that's the only person she knows in this small town. So Ray likes to make like those ghost hunting videos on YouTube. She makes those, and so she's like, I'm here, I'm gonna get loads of ghost hunting done, like it'll be great, like my channel will kick off and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so a lot of weird stuff has been happening in this small town. There's a cult. She meets Leon, who is this demon that has been sort of held by this cult for like decades at this point. I don't want to like say too much without spoiling it, but let's just say, like, the vibes were immaculate. It was the perfect spooky small town. Like I say, the cult vibes of this small town. It was perfect for October, quite honestly. Just autumn in general, but specifically October. Perfect vibes for the plot, immaculate. The characters, immaculate. The spice, delicious. Honestly, this book was so good. I have no notes. It is a 5 stars. Then I read the second book straight after, called Her Soul for Revenge. So this is a trilogy called the Souls Trilogy. We've got obviously Her Soul to Take, Her Soul for Revenge, then Soul of a Witch. I did read them back to back because this trilogy is following the same timeline, essentially, but you're following 3 different stories that are happening at the same time. So obviously you've got Leon and Ray. She is trying to get away, Ray is trying to get away from this cult, and Leon is also trying to get away from this cult. But the cult's after Ray, basically, so you're like following that storyline. And then Her Soul for Revenge, we've got Zane and Junie. So Zane is also a demon who knows Leon, and Juniper was meant to be a sacrifice for this cult and managed to get away, and now she's on a revenge plot. So like this book, if you like the Mindfuck series, you will like this book especially, because Junie is out for revenge, and honestly, do not blame her. All for it. Fully support this girl. But she is absolutely unhinged, but so is Zayn. So like they're the weirdest, most unhinged, kind of crazy couple, but I love them for it, quite honestly. So her Soul for Revenge, I rated it 4 stars. Didn't like it quite as much as the first one, and again, it's got a 4 chili pepper rating. And then Soul of a Witch, which I read straight afterwards, you're following Everly, who is the daughter of the leader of the cult, and again, she's trying to get away from this cult, okay? And then we've got Callum, who is this, what was the name? Archdemon? Archdemon, he's an archdemon. So basically he's like a level higher than Zayn and Leon in terms of power. And Callum, okay, my favourite man is probably Leon. Very close second being Callum, but my favourite couple probably is Everly and Callum. He had been, I think, trapped in this house for like 30 years at this point, and he finally sees her and he goes like a little bit crazy. Like he goes a bit feral with like his need for her. But if there's one thing I can tell you about all 3 of these men in all 3 of these books, consent is the most important thing to all 3 of these demons. And like, because she's obviously absolutely terrified, he like reins himself back and is like, I'm just going to tell you to go to bed, here's some food, I'm going to be over here if you need me. And like, he was so feral, it was actually hilarious, and I kind of was here for it. Yeah, so Callum was an interesting character, that's for sure. So like I say, these 3 books all following different plots. So Ray and Leon trying to get away from the cult, Zayn and Junie trying to kill the cult, Everly and Callum trying to kill a god, but it's all happening at the same time. So you're following, so you have to read them in order, basically. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed these books. Also rated the 3rd one a 4 star and a 4 chili pepper rating. I just thoroughly enjoyed this series. I cannot wait to read other stuff that Holly LaRue's written. I think she's got a White Shoes romance, The Losers Duet, I want to read next by her, I think. And she's got a new book coming out shortly, I'm sure. Yeah, this was such a good start of the month. I absolutely devoured all 3 of these books. Thoroughly enjoyed them. Perfect for October. Felt like I said, it was the spooky small town vibes. The atmosphere was really good. And you've got witches, you've got demons, you've got all this. Yeah, it was really good. Then I read Diabound by Sable Saracen and rated this 5 stars. I ate this book up. Oh my god, I was so invested straight away into the story. This starts off and you're kind of like straight in the action. Okay, so this book we're following Merrin, who is a street fighter. She basically gets involved, I suppose it's not a street fight, but like one of those underground street like fighting rings. She takes part in those to make money for her family because her dad, not there. I think he's dead, to be honest. Yeah, I'm fairly sure he's dead. Mum, not very well, not exactly able to work and make money, and she's got a younger sister who's like, what, 10 or 11 or something like that? So she is the breadwinner of the family, and how she wins that bread is by fighting people, basically. Children have been going missing in her like area of town. She lives in a very poverty-stricken area of the town. And then her little sister goes missing, and she is like, absolutely not, I'm gonna go find my little sister. So she joins the war. There's a war going on, forgot to tell you that. She joins the war effort to try and get to the front lines because she thinks it's the other side of the war, the siphons that have taken these kids. So she's thinking, if I can get the front lines, I can find my way into enemy territory and find my sister. Which is a good plan, except this time, in this particular moment, anyone who's enlisting is enlisting for the bonding trials. And the bonding trials is basically you go through a series of events, and at the end you either bond with a dire wolf or you don't, and you might die on the way. This book was so good, like I say, thoroughly invested straight from the get-go. This is a love triangle, and it's a love triangle done fairly well because for a lot of the story I was so conflicted about who I wanted her to end up with, and then that changed. I know exactly who I want her to end up with, and it's like kind of a given now. But yes, I'm not going to tell you who. Just read this book. It is so good. It is so entertaining. It is really high stakes. Like I say, kind of like a lot of people are saying this is like Fourth Wing, and it really does follow a lot of the Fourth Wing plotline or, you know, formula. But it does stand on its own. It is its own story. A lot of things are very different. Yeah, just read this book. It's so good. Next, I read Bunny by Mona Awad, and I rated this a 4 stars. I genuinely don't know how to tell you about this book because I still I'm so confused about this book in how to describe it, because it's just the weirdest thing. Just honestly, the only thing I can tell you, it's in an academic setting. You're following Sam, who is kind of on the outside. She's not really made any friends at college, and she sees these 4 girls who refer to each other as Bunny, so she calls them the Bunnies. And they're just kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. But also Sam's very judgmental in how she is in her inner monologue describing them, so I also feel like it's not the most authentic depiction of what the girls are actually like. I don't know, it gets weird. I felt like, I don't even know how, it gets weird. I wouldn't say it's a horror, I really wouldn't. It's not like a horror in any way. It's just weird. I don't know how else to describe it. But I did really enjoy it, so. Then I read Wayward by Amelia Hart. Finally, I've had this book since it came out in 2023, and I've only just gotten around to reading it now, which is not ideal, but I feel like I read it at such a good time. I rated this 4.5 stars if I haven't already said that, but I feel like I just did. I don't know. I love this book. We're following 3 different women over, it's like 4 or 5 centuries. So I always forget how to say her name. We've got Kate in 2019, Violet in 1942, and Altha in 1619. Altha's the one I keep forgetting how to pronounce. I don't know why. So Altha's on trial for witchcraft. Violet is the daughter of a viscount and kind of living in high society and expected to marry someone, and she's not really bothered about all that. And Kate is running away from an abusive partner. The parallels these 3 women go through in terms of oppression, abuse, neglect, just, it really highlights the struggles that women have always had and still unfortunately continue to experience. And while this book feels very feminist in it's got a very powerful message of women overcoming these awful experiences and persevering and having this real strength and resilience. It manages to be that like feminist and not be men bashing. Obviously there are a lot of male characters in this book that are absolutely vile, disgusting, awful, but there are also male characters who are really decent men, like Kate's dad and Violet's brother. So it's not men bashing. It's highlighting the fact that men have done these and still do these awful things without saying that all men are bad and all that kind of stuff. Like, so yeah. And this story isn't even really about revenge. One character I would say definitely does get revenge, but it's more about these women wanting to find their own peace and happiness and freedom from these horrible situations that they're in. So yeah, I really recommend this book, and it's a bit witchy. It's got like a witchy undertone to it. It's not overtly witchy. It's more like a magical realism type witchy, if that makes sense. Okay, then I DNF'd Payback's a Witch. I can't be bothered to pick it up right now. It's on the top shelf of this bookcase. I DNF'd it after I think 60 odd pages. I was on page 64, and I really thought I would love this book. It's a sapphic witchy romance, which just sounds like it would be right up my alley, but it was so childish. I think Payback's a Witch is Lana Harper's first adult novel. I think she wrote young adult before that, and it showed. The writing and like the dialogue was very YA. So we're following, I don't know what the main character's name is, I don't really care to remember. She is coming back home after being gone for like 9 years because this stupid boy, when she was a teenager, and he was also a teenager, he broke up with her in a mean way and said something really stupid. And she decided to completely avoid all her friends and family and just flee from this town that she grew up in because of that stupid boy. And I just thought that was really, really dumb and immature. I'm sorry. I think most girls have been, especially around the age of 17, scorned by some sort of stupid teenage boy. It's just sort of a rite of passage I think we go through as women, because men are stupid at that age. Well, boys, I should say, they're not men. Boys can be really stupid at that age. And you're gonna get your heart broken at some point, babe. I'm just gonna say it, you're gonna get your heart broken at some point. It's just part of life. Don't make that just completely dictate your life going forward. It's just not worth it. That stupid boy, not worth changing your whole life about. And then the revenge plot, again, it just seemed really childish and stupid, and I couldn't read it. So we DNF'd that one. The next book I read, I almost DNF'd as well, but I was filming a reading vlog and I didn't want to DNF 2 books in a row, so I read The Honey Witch. I initially rated this as 3 stars, and in that video, which is the Reading Witchy Reads video, I rated this 3 stars. And as I was writing my review afterwards, I feel like it's probably more of a 2.5, because there was a lot of this book that I didn't like. I will start with what I did like. I like the grammar, and I like the setting on the island called Innisfree. I liked the setting. It was very, it was definitely very cozy fantasy autumn vibes. However, didn't like Marigold, the main character, because this book is very anti-men, anti-marriage, which if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. She's clearly a lesbian, so I can't blame her for being anti-men in a romantic way. However, she was then really judgmental about women who did want to get married and did want to have kids and have that heteronormative life. And bear in mind, this is set in I don't want to say Regency England, I don't even know if it's set in England really. It's but it's in that Bridgerton era, okay? So yeah, the heteronormative lifestyle kind of was the thing back then, except in this book she made it very queer normative, so it was okay to be gay, even though it's set in more of that Regency England era. So I did like that about it as well. But it also made me be like, well, why would you've got no reason to bash people wanting what they want. If they're happy for you to be gay when they weren't in real life back then, maybe you should be happy for them to want to get married. And her grandma was kind of like that. She said, look, what a woman wants, respect that. If a woman wants it, respect that. It's got nothing to do with you. Because Marigold was being so judgmental about this woman who genuinely wanted to have this man notice her. So I didn't like Marigold because she just seemed a little bit righteous in a way, and yet the whole book she's incredibly lonely. So I'm like, you can't even complain because you put yourself in this place. And then Lottie, the love interest, didn't like her either, to be honest. So the romance didn't seem very realistic or compatible. And then the magic, right? They're honey witches. And they've got a curse on them, basically, that they can't fall in love. That the ash witches have put on them. They've cursed this family. And the whole point is that the opposite of honey is ash. Literally, in what world is ash the opposite of honey? They're not... No. Are they the same? Are they similar? Not even slightly, no. But they're not opposites. That just makes no sense. And it was really weird. And then the whole reason that the ash witches put the curse on the honey witches was so they couldn't procreate, so that their family line would die out. But you don't need love to procreate. So it was just really kind of stupid. So yeah, it probably is more of a 2.5 stars, I'll be honest. I don't recommend this book on further thought. Next I read Rose and Chains, which I rated a 4 stars, and I gave a 2 chili pepper spice, which makes no sense because they kissed once. This is a slow burn. But there was a couple, I probably should have rated it a 1 chili pepper actually when I think back on it. There was a couple scenes that were spice adjacent that, I don't know, I was all for those scenes. Okay. This book was a Dramani fanfiction. I'll put that out there. I don't know what it was called, I just know it was a Dramani fanfiction. We're following Bryony in 3rd person, I will put out now, and they, at the very beginning of the book, lose the war. And she gets taken to be sold in human trafficking, essentially, to the highest bidder, who happens to be a man called Tovin, which is the worst name for an MMC. That is so not sexy. What is it with this year, with MNCs having terrible names? Tovin in this one, fucking Ransom in Shield of Sparrows. Ransom, are you kidding me? Why is there Kingfisher in Quicksilver? I know that was last year, but still, why is his name Kingfisher? Why are these romance authors giving their men awful names? Why? When we had great ones, like we've got Zayden, we've got Rhysand, Stark, good name. Kai, also a great name. Names that just can be sexy, you know? The names you could moan, for example. No one's moaning Tovin. Tovin. Toe. No. Absolutely not. Awful name. That is one criticism I give. That being said, quite like the man. Quite like the man. There was just something about him. So yeah, this book does have quite dark subject matter. Like I say, human trafficking, sexual assault, torture, a lot of not very nice subjects. I found personally that there was a little bit of a disconnect for me with all of that, because with it being written in the third person, there was just that natural disconnect from Bryony anyway. But also I felt like anytime there was like a more traumatizing, triggering scene, it felt like it was kind of okay, next thing. And it was never really, it just felt very glazed over. So I never felt affected by those scenes. But that being said, I feel like I'm normally not really affected by that kind of thing anyway, because I do naturally disconnect when it comes to very dark subject matter. My brain is like, no, it separates fact and fiction very well. So I'm never really triggered by that kind of stuff anyway. But for people who are, there is some very dark things in here. There's also obviously forced sterilization, forgot to mention that one before. Yeah, it is a very dark book, but like I say, I felt there was a disconnect because it was written in third person, and I just felt like a lot of things were kind of rushed when it was talking about those dark matters. I do like the magic system though, with the heart magic and the mind magic, and though how they have different strengths and weaknesses. Like the heart magic is stronger, but you'll get tired quicker, whereas the mind magic is like more steady and you can use it for a lot longer. I just thought it was quite interesting. Not really a magic system similar to what I've read before. And then, like I said, the romance is so slow burn. They kiss once in this book. Once. It was so good. It was such a slow burn. The tension really started building. So I'm really looking forward to the next book to see where that goes. And the whole time this book is very high stakes, because at the end of the day, we're at the end of a war and people are just trying to survive. So yeah, I do really recommend this book. A book I don't recommend, however, is Fearful by Lauren Roberts. This was awful. I rated it 2 stars. This was a waste of my time. This feels like it was a cash grab, and it just felt completely unnecessary to the series. I feel like we ended with Fearless and it was a decent ending. Everyone, I think for the majority, people who love this series was satisfied with the ending and how it was left, and I think it should have been left as it was. Lauren Roberts explained this as being like, if you had any questions left over after Fearless, this would answer them. And I fully disagree, because the only thing that's added to the world is how the afterlife works, which we don't need to know based off of what happened in that series. However, I think this is going to be the lead on to a spin-off series following Mara, and if that is the case, I will not be reading it, because the characters who it's going to involve, based off what we read in this, Mara was very predatory to a child, and I feel very uncomfortable about that, and I think a lot of people on Goodreads felt the same. So I just simply will not be reading it, because I don't condone that. I feel like it won't be done correctly in a way that's like Lolita is about a paedophile, but it's not romanticizing paedophilia. You can write about those subject matters in a certain way where it's okay. Not that the act's okay, I mean that the book is okay. Whereas in this case, I don't think that would be the case. I don't know. It left a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah, this made me hate the ending of Fearless. It made a certain person's final moments completely meaningless. So I'm going to pretend I never read this, and instead I'm just going to go off of Fearless, because like I say, it ruins Fearless for me, quite honestly. Yeah, very disappointed by this book. Then I read The Wolf King by Lauren Palfreniman, and I gave this a 4 stars and a 2 chili pepper rating. I realise now I gave Rose and Jane's a 2 when nothing happened, and then this a 2 when there was at one point, it's just like when they finally do it, they're like not stopping. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna say Rose and Jane's is a 1 chili pepper. Now I'm rethinking. This is a 2 because it wasn't super spicy. It's like a 2, 2.5 maybe. This book had me hooked instantly. Within 30 pages, I was giggling. I've annotated this book because I have a tab that is specifically for me giggling at how this alpha is introduced. So like this one, it took 5 men to bring the big one in. He killed 3 of them. He doesn't talk much, but we think he's one of the alphas. quite a specimen, isn't he? And I giggled at that. I giggled because, oh my god, yes, he is quite the specimen. What do you mean? It's just anything that he does that's not necessarily romantic, but it is, but it's not. It's just anything I've got a few tabs for him. And then I've got a lot of tabs for Blake. Okay, this book is also a love triangle. I love Callum, I really do. We get crumbs of Blake in this and none of it is romantic in the slightest. Again, it's like how he's described. I was so excited and giddy. So like here, his name is Blake, he's the most dangerous male in the kingdom of the wolves and he has the power to help us or to destroy us. Like yes, absolutely, give it. And then even here, he scans the great hole, a bored look on his face. When his eyes lock onto mine, a wicked smile spreads across his face. That made me giggle because I'm like, ooh. I don't know, he excites me. He really excites me and he's giving nothing currently. Like he's very clearly, like he's either secretly a good guy or he's the bad guy. I don't know, but I like him. So currently I am of the thought of, I want her to end up with both of them and I want them two to be boyfriends. That's the only way I'm going to be happy with this love triangle ending. Because I can't choose between them. Callum's going to have to really mess up for me to not want her to be with him. And I'm always going to want her to be with Blake. So yeah, this book was so good. So yes, we're following Aurora. She is meant to be marrying this absolutely awful man called Sebastian. And they have captured these werewolves to basically pit them against each other and make them fight to the death, just for their own entertainment. They escape. And Callum is like, I'm gonna take you with me. And Aurora's like, I'm gonna go with you because I don't want to marry Sebastian. So basically that's what we're following. There's a war between the wolves and the humans, basically. Like, it's the north and the south. Apparently if you listen to the audiobook of this, they have Scottish accents. So I do need to listen to that at some point. Yeah, this was just a giggly, hee hee ha ha fun time. Vibes only. I wouldn't say this is like the best work of literature ever. Do not get me wrong. But I was thoroughly obsessed while reading this. And it did end in a way, it has got a bit of a cliffhanger, but I am gonna wait until The Night Prince and then the following book's out until I continue it, because I just have a feeling The Night Prince is gonna end on a cliffhanger. And I can't do that to myself. So I'll reread this before I read book 2 and 3, but we don't know when they're getting released yet, like traditionally. Then I read People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. I seem to be one of the few people who loved this book. I rated it a 4.5 stars and a 3 chili pepper rating. I loved this book. I love Milo. Okay, a lot of people think he's an ick because he is a man whore. Like he really is. But I don't know, he's charming, he's funny, he can be really sweet at times. And I don't even like mustaches, but I love his slutty little mustache and his slutty little tattoos. So we're following, we've got Milo. This is dual POV, by the way. So we've got Milo, who is kind of, his brother's moved to this town, he's going to open this brewery, and he's come to this town to help his brother out, basically. And then we've got Prudence. She lives in this town, and she runs like the gas station / convenience store. It's like a family-run business. Her mum's got Alzheimer's. If there's one thing I can tell you about me, anytime there is some sort of memory loss situation in a book, whether that be Alzheimer's, dementia, amnesia, anything, it will make me cry. Always. Which is probably also why this was rated higher, because I felt so emotional reading this book whenever her mum was involved. Yeah. Prue is a virgin because she's having to like try and keep her family afloat. So she hasn't ever really got a chance to go out and meet people and do things young people do. So her and Milo end up striking up this like friends with benefits kind of thing. I don't know, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so fun. The spice, oh my god. Milo talks you through it. I thought Bo from Out on a Limb talked you through it. Milo put that man to shame. He talks you through it. Like, I was blushing. So take of that with what you will, but I thoroughly enjoyed that book. I'm on the final 10% of battery life, so let's be quick with this final one. The last book I read this month was Alchemized by Sen-Lin Yu, and I have some thoughts. I rated it a 4 stars, and I've given it a 1 chili pepper rating because the actual like consensual sex scenes are quite glazed over and written more like a few lyrically, romantically written sort of pieces, but it's not anywhere even slightly in depth. I was really disappointed by this because I did not cry once. There is a reading vlog coming up. I don't know if it's the last video up or the next one. I haven't decided how we're doing this yet. I was disappointed because it did not emotionally destroy me. And I don't know if it's because, like I say with Rose in Chains, I am fairly desensitized to dark subject matters and I can separate myself from fiction. So this book is incredibly dark. Where Rose in Chains is dark, this is darker. Like, this is absolutely, the subject matter is absolutely traumatizing. Obviously, you've got scenes of rape, torture, all of that. This was a very dark book. I just handled very dark books very well, apparently. Yeah, I really thought I was going to cry at this one. Didn't. I got a little bit teary-eyed occasionally, but not really. And then I watched a couple of people's reading vlogs where they did get so emotional and they were reading out parts that were making them so emotional. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why that is devastating, but for some reason it just didn't feel devastating to me at the time. So I did really like this book. I think the magic system is flawless. It's actually made me start rewatching Fullmetal Alchemist because I just had to start watching it. I watched it like over 10 years ago, and yesterday I watched all of season 1 or part 1 of Fullmetal Alchemist because this really just put that in my head. So yeah, this was originally a Harry Potter fanfic. I got no Harry Potter from this. I have not read the original fanfic. It gave me Fullmetal Alchemist more than anything. And now that I've started reading Fullmetal Alchemist, especially, I'm like, yeah, this really does give Fullmetal Alchemist, because Central is a bit dodgy in Fullmetal Alchemist. Like how both sides of the war are really dodgy. Like, it's not even, this book is not about good versus evil in a war. This book is evil versus evil in a different font. Like, it's just evil with deaf people and evil with racists. It's like literally just both sides of this war are awful people. And they're both doing awful things, and the both main characters. Who's sawing? It's 4 p.m. It's about to get dark. Anyway, my camera overheated. So what was I saying? Yes, both Helena and Cain are they do very bad things. Cain is fully morally black. Okay, he is an evil person. He has done evil things. His reasons for that, notwithstanding, but he is an evil person and has done very evil things to other people. Helena has done a lot of evil things also in the name of the Resistance and for Luke. What I don't understand, okay, if you read this as Manacled, you have the whole Harry Potter series as background knowledge to love these characters. Okay, I'm very sorry for the random background sawing noise, but it's not stopping now. Yes, while I feel that Senna New did a lot of work into creating a completely new magic system and world and politics and all of that kind of stuff, I don't feel like enough work was put into the characters and their backgrounds and their relationships to each other. Because I genuinely don't understand why Helena was so loyal to Luke. I don't understand why she loved him so much, like platonically. I just don't understand that we don't see that, because even in part 2, in the flashbacks, they're never together. So I just feel like there's not enough background knowledge to make me feel so connected to the characters. And I think that's why there was a little bit of disconnect there as well. So yeah, I did like this book, and I think a lot of things about it were very well done. But something was missing for me, and I'm very disappointed by that, but it still was a 4 stars. So again, though, I will reiterate, that book is incredibly, incredibly dark. So if you are someone who is triggered easily, do check your trigger warnings and take them seriously, because a lot of what happens in this book is absolutely traumatizing and devastating. So yeah, do your research into the triggers if you are someone who does get triggered by certain things in books. Yeah, so that's everything I read in October. I haven't done a TBR for November because I think my November TBR is going to be trying to get through as many of the series that I am currently in the middle in, and to read as many of the 25 books in 2025 that I have yet to read, because I think I've still got 9. I've still got 9 books, so I thought I would not do a TBR. I've got a lot of things I need to focus on by the end of the year, and then there's also my goals to read 5 classics and 1 memoir, so that's what I'm focusing on for November and December, so there probably won't be TBR draw videos for either of those months. Yeah, all in all, it's been a really good reading month. I did have more time to read this month because I was not well for the majority of it. However, I just don't feel like I mentally was there, which also I think has impacted how I took Alchemized. I think I was very mentally exhausted while reading it at the same time. So I think that has had an impact as well. So yeah. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought of Alchemized in the comments if you've read it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!